The first time I heard the idea of catalysis was in junior high, when our chemistry teacher was teaching us how catalysis can make a chemical reaction happen more easily by providing an alternative reaction pathway with a lower energy barrier. Some of us was having a hard time understanding that concept and even the word. So she said, okay, imagine this. If you're a person who is trying to climb a big, tall mountain, but you're struggling because you only have limited time and energy, wouldn't it be easier if you build a tunnel passing through the mountain first, and then you can just drive through it? I remember I was thinking to myself that, wow, this lady might know her chemistry, but she clearly doesn't have a lot of experience with construction, because how on earth building a tunnel passing through a gigantic mountain be easier just climbing it? I remember I asked that question out loud, and my chemistry teacher said, okay, there will be a professional team of scientists who will do the inspection of the mountain, build a tunnel for the rest of us so that all of us can live a better life together. And she reminded me not to ask weird questions in class. And as time marched on, I continued to enjoy learning more about chemistry and honestly never stopped asking weird questions. The analogy of the mountain, the catalytic tunnel leads us to the mystery scenery on the other side. Most importantly, the scientists who are behind the scene building the catalyst for all of us just stuck with me for the longest time. I want to ask more questions about catalysts. I want to know how to build a catalytic tunnel that can make the reaction happen faster and easier, and how we humans can save time and energy when we are facing the mountain of reaction barrier. So here I am doing fundamental research on catalysis in grad school, where not only I get a chance to learn the chemical principle in catalytic reactions, which we will talk about later, but also the importance about catalysis in so many different fields. Take petroleum industry, for example. Catalysts are indispensable in refining crude oil into valuable products like diesel, gasoline, jet fuel, and by making the process cheaper and faster. Without catalysis, transportation and energy availability will be severely impacted. And move on to the downstream. Catalysts are also used in our car catalytic converter, converting the harmful pollutants into less harmful substances, which have significantly improved our air quality and reduced the environmental impact of transportation. For chemical manufacturing, catalysts are unsung heroes, and they enable the production of fertilizers, medicines, and plastics on a large scale, which have been driving the technological advances and improving our living standards. And for the field I'm personally most interested in, the renewable energy field, catalysts have played a crucial role in developing new technology, such as hydrogen fuel cell, in which catalysts are used to split water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, enabling the production of clean hydrogen fuel for transportation and energy storage. So hopefully so far, I will convince you catalysts are important, but what are they? So for all the reactions we mentioned above, catalysts used in them are different. But all the catalytic reactions follow the same chemical principle. The reactant have to align on our catalytic surface, bond with the catalytic atoms on the surface, and then electron exchange, product are generated, and eventually your product had to break the bond so that it will leave, and then the next round reaction can happen. So even though all the reactions are different, a lot of catalysis used in our daily life actually fall into the same category, the precious metal particles. Why precious metal particles? Well, that's because a lot of precious metal, they possess the bonding energy that is high enough that the reactant can bind with them, start the reaction, but they're not too high. Otherwise, the product generated on the surface won't leave. It just stuck on the surface and prevent the next round reaction from happening. So for many chemical reactions, precious metals are like the perfect fit for Goldilocks, who is seeking for the just right balance. So just like Goldilocks wants her porridge to be either to be too hot or too cold, her band not to be too big or small, our reaction wants the band energy of the catalysis to be either to be too high or too low. And precious metal just have that ideal bond energy for so many different but important reactions. But precious metals are not perfect. As a matter of fact, one of their major problems lies in the name, precious. Sorry about that. They're expensive. We don't have a lot of them on this planet. We love them. They're pricey. So to make the best use of this expensive material, we want to make the particle as small as possible so that we can have more material exposed on the surface and they can bond with the reactant. And so what's the smallest particle we can make? In our lab, we can make and size select sub-nanoscale particles and even single atoms. And how small is sub-nanosmall? Or in our daily life, I think the smallest items we hear about might be viruses, and they are usually from few nanometer to 100 nanometers small, and the cluster we study are 20 to 30 times smaller than the smallest virus. So all in all, they are super small. So what we find out about these small particles is that, well, first of all, because they're small size, they're big surface area, they have a very different geometric structure from their bulk counterparts, which is not surprising. But also what we find out is more intriguing is that they have this unique electronic structure that not only make them different from the bulk counterparts, but also make them different from each other. As a matter of fact, in the sub-nanoscale, we start to see the phenomenon which we call airy atom counts. That means by adding or subtracting one atom from a cluster, you can totally change the reaction pathway. That's like telling you by adding or subtracting one brick from your tunnel, you can totally go to a different side of the mountain. How can I not be excited about this? So we apply these particles in different reactions we studied in renewable energy field, and we see the cluster size effect on all of them, on the activity and selectivity of the reaction we studied. And take hydrogen evolution reaction, for example, which is very important for hydrogen fuel cell. The clusters within 4 atoms in them a cluster with 7 atoms in them actually have 2 times higher activity compared to clusters with 4 atoms in them. Why is that? To answer this question, we decided to do more surface analysis of these clusters, and we'll find out is that this unique electronic structure is actually the direct indicator for the bind energy of the clusters. And that means, and they change significantly with the cluster size. And that suggests that we can actually use the cluster size to fine-tune the catalytic behavior of our clusters, and that will provide insight about designing the next generation of catalysis. So just like there are so many ways to design a tunnel passing through a mountain, there are so many unique ways to design a catalysis for a certain reaction. And our job as scientists in catalytic field is to find the most time and energy saving reaction pathway leads us to a better and cleaner energy future. Thank you.